Good evening and welcome. You're watching The Big Story on NDTV Profit and I'm Nupur Talwar Suri. Now, the story that we're tracking today is the controversy that surrounds Netflix's new web series IC-814, The Kandahar Hijack. Now, this series recounts the 1999 hijacking of an Indian Airlines flight. In fact, we're going to go across to Abira from NDTV Profit in just a bit to give us more details about what is panning out in terms of the action that has been taken. But first, let me go across to cinema critic and analyst, Mr. Amitabh Srivastava. He joins us on the phone line. Mr. Srivastava, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Srivastava, to begin with, how do you see this controversy? Now, what we understand is that the Netflix content head has been summoned by the INP ministry to explain certain aspects of the series.
See, as I can understand, the controversy has erupted because of certain names of the hijackers, and I think it erupted on the social media only that some of the hijackers in the series have Hindi names, and I think those criticizing the entire series are blaming Anubhav Sinha, the director, for kind of creating some fictitious name just to malign the community. I think that is why this entire thing has happened. Otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, I have seen the series and I found it very engaging, very gripping. And as you all know, that this is a kind of a well-known incident of Indian Airlines Flight 814 hijack in 1999 when Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister. And actually, we all know that it happened only months after the Kargil victory over Pakistan. So, and this kind of incident where 180 passengers were hijacked and it was finally kind of made its way to Kandahar. The flight was flown to Kandahar. And then some kind of bargain was made between the government of India and the hijackers, and 3 directors were kind of released, among whom the very well-known, very famous Maulana Masood Azhar, who was later on responsible for the attack on Parliament. So I think this became, very big embarrassment for the Vajpayee government, and I think Anubhav Sinha has done a very brave job by picking up this subject and portraying it, during another BJP government regime. So, and I found it very, very engaging, very engrossing. And we must understand that this entire series is based on the book written by the captain of that flight, Captain Devi Sharan, who has written a book of Flight into Fear. And he has created, Anubhav Sinha has created Mr. Devi Sharan for this thing, the content. So whatever thing he has taken, right, I believe that has been taken from the book. So the source material is the book. So I don't think Anubhav Sinha should be blamed for whatever controversy is being kind of blown up.
Mr. Srivastava, one of the points that is being made is that the lack perhaps of a committee like a censor board to actually screen through this content creates these unnecessary stumbling blocks for filmmakers as far as OTT is concerned. Do you perhaps think that something that is one of the reasons why we see controversies surrounding OTT content time and again?
Actually, this has been going on for quite some time. If you remember, there was a web series called Tandav, on I think Amazon Prime Video, and that had Saif Ali Khan and Dimple Kapadia and two other big names from Bollywood, and that also created some kind of controversy because something related to some Hindu gods was shown in that series. And I think then also the content head of the concerned company, the OTT platform, was summoned, and thereafter I think even Supreme Court took up the matter, and some guidelines were supposed to be kind of taken up, and a lot of digital media policies have been framed after that. But I think this issue of censorship is a debatable thing. Some may say that yes, something is required to contain the kind of elements that create controversy, or some may say that it is not required. I mean, at least you can get something in the raw form, whatever you are producing, you are kind of airing. So there is nothing like that, nothing like a censor board that is kind of functioning for movies. For example, now we can see that Kangana Ranaut's film Emergency is stuck in the censor board right now.
Now, Mr. Srivastava, final question to you. Now, should the real names of these hijackers have been focused upon in this OTT series? Because that seems to be the main contention of the government, that the real names of the people behind the hijacking do not seem to be coming out.
See, the thing is, speaking from a point of view of the content creator, the director, Anubhav Sinha, I mean, if I am taking a book as my source material,
yes,
the book written by the captain of the flight, who was the kind of first person who kind of suffered the entire thing first hand, and he has written his experiences only. So if I'm kind of telling the story from his point of view, then I will take the material provided by him only, and I will kind of rely on his material. So I think Anubhav Sinha has not done, I mean, the producer and director has not done anything wrong. If anybody has any grouse, they should go back to the book. They should see that what is written in the book. And if there is any problem, they can kind of, maybe approach Captain Devisharan. Why pinpoint the director, co-director? He has done a good job. I mean, as a viewer, as a normal viewer, anybody who kind of finds interest in entertainment or these kind of things that they were real incidents, he will find it very engrossing, as I said. So I don't see any point in kind of criticizing the director. See, the point is that Anubhav Sinha has made some films and he has been critical of this government. So maybe that the troll army that is active on the social media here and there, they have started targeting him for his entire body of work, including this thing.
All right, Mr. Srivastava, we appreciate you taking out the time and talking to us on this. Thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. Let's also now bring in Abira Dar, who is covering all angles of the story. Abira, take us through the latest that's on as far as this controversy is concerned. We know that the head of content of Netflix has been summoned, but what is the basic problem that the government and the INB ministry seems to have with this?
Okay, let's start with the show IC 814 that released on 29th of August. It is Anubhav Sinha's directorial debut for OTT. And we were quite looking forward to it. And I have watched the full show and I really liked it. I'm not here to support him or support somebody else. I'm just here to give you an outlook of the show and what people have been saying. So after the show, the Netflix series came out, it has got rave reviews. But a section of social media, there was a social media outrage about characters, the terrorist characters in the show being called Hindu names, being given Hindu names. They were called Shankar and Bhola. And the others were called Chief, Doctor, Burger, and the last two were Shankar and Bhola. So people had a question on social media saying, why have you given, like, first of all, it was just random people saying he has deliberately given Hindu names to these Pakistani terrorists who have hijacked the flight. And there was a uproar on social media, and there was something called boycott Anubhav Sinha, which is nowadays a very common boycotting culture. So yeah, that happened, and that's where it started. And then coming to defend him were also a lot of people who are just not people, but people who have either covered journalists who have covered the incident back in 1999, very closely seen what has happened. People who have written books on it. There is this writer and journalist who on social media, he went on social media, he's like, I have nothing to do with this film. I had written a book years ago about this incident, the Kandahar hijack. And he said very nicely that why these people are called Shankar and Bhola. And he explained it that these were the code names that they were using, the terrorists were using on the flight. They will not take their real names, right? They were all using code names, Chief, Burger, Shankar. Basically, all the 5 names were code names. And that's exactly what Anubhav Sinha has shown in his series. So, yeah, that's where it started.
No, Abira, do stay with us. And in fact, the renowned filmmaker and director Anubhav Sinha spoke to Abira earlier and shared his views on how it's different to direct for OTT platforms from commercial films. Now, the guidelines that come along and how a viewer can interpret your film based on their understanding. Listen in to what he told us.
The only difference is the time of writing. Then you have to let go of the audience after this much time, and then you have to bring them back. That's the only new game that you have to play. Otherwise, shooting it and editing it and everything else is the same, like films. And there is a different art form. Writing television is a different art form because, we release a film and we do a month worth of promotions to bring them once to the theatre. Imagine you releasing a film in 5 parts. 1 episode will release every day. Do you think you can bring them back 5 times? No, you can't. Just because they're at home, and then the whole game of writing that I will let go of you, and then I'll bring you back and I'll let go of you again. That's a very dangerous game to play. And that's where the idea of binge comes from, that you make it so binge-worthy that the audience doesn't go. So you're saying you can go, but actually don't. And so that's a game that you play with the audience.
When you're making a film like this, which involves the government, which involves the army, what kind of guidelines do you have to follow, that you have to show the series? What are the guidelines, basically?
Do I look like a guideline kind of a guy?
No. That's why I asked you this.
That's the answer.
So you didn't have to show it to anyone? And it was...
I wouldn't do it. If that was a condition, I wouldn't do it.
When you were coming up with a show like this, do you think twice about anything before you put it on the screen?
Anything is controversial. If anybody wants to find controversy in your beautiful pink shoes, there's controversy there. But then you can't second guess a controversy. People had a problem with Thappa. I was like, what? Why? They were very upset with me. I don't know why. So I never imagined. But the kind of trolling it offered. So you can't second guess it. You can hope and pray, because who wants to be a part of any controversy?
All right, Abira, now coming back to you on this one. One of the points that is being made is that the identities of the real hijackers could have been more prominently displayed in the series. Anything that you're hearing from the makers on this?
No. So I reached out to the makers and there have been no response. I think they are right now preparing to go and speak to the ministry than talking to the media. But yes, you're right, but I'll give you a perspective. We have seen a lot of films like this. But when you watch this film, at the end of the film, the filmmaker has made sure he gives you the pros and cons of it. While there was, during the show, I might be giving away some spoilers here, but I need to explain this. While there were relatives who were waiting outside the airport for the loved ones to come back, there were also martyrs, parents, wives who were standing there and saying that if you let go of the terrorists that our sons and our husbands have given their life for to capture, that is also not fair. So there are two sides that they have shown, and you really understand how difficult a decision it is for the government also while they're trying to save these people, they also have to do justice to those soldiers who have given their life to capture
Absolutely.
these people. And then at the end, it also shows after we let go of them, we did let go of the terrorists, 3 of them, that after the hijack, because that was the deal. How much we have lost. The attacks that these mastermind the attacks that have taken place because of these masterminds.
Absolutely. So as you're pointing out, Abera, this was quite a difficult sort of a topic to tackle, and perhaps we are seeing some bit of repercussions of that. Thank you very much, Abera, for joining us on The Big Story this evening. And before we move on to the other big story, the former Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar has also supported the government's decision in this. Just listen into his views.
There is nobody, I vividly remember IC814. I was very aware of that accident and very involved in following that. Every man and woman in India and indeed in South Asia knows that hijack of IC814 from Kathmandu was committed, that act was committed by Pakistan's ISI-backed terrorists. Now, nobody thinks that there were some people from India who did the hijacking. So how the people have Hindu names in that movie, I don't know. But I'm very, very happy that the INV Ministry and the Government of India has taken cognizance of this and has summoned Netflix.